Yeah, so I went to a state school, secondary school for my GCSEs. So with that, I think one of the main challenges was finding the kind of support and access to kind of get the top grades, to get to the best schools, and like to kind of fulfill my dream of going to Oxford. So the tuition center was really helpful, especially at GCSEs, for providing me with kind of booster sessions to target the top grades for my GCSEs, and that carried through to my A levels now as well, in which I got a lot of support for applying to Oxford in the way that I wouldn't have at school. Yeah, so I think there was a huge jump from GCSE to A level. So I started with maths, English literature, history, and politics. And I think the initial kind of transition was quite difficult, but I managed. However, like throughout year 12, I found that I was struggling in kind of like different aspects of the work because the essay writing styles for my subjects was very different.
Mhm.
And also with maths, I found that very difficult to kind of be on top of compared to GCSEs.
Mhm.
So I reached out for help in those kinds of areas, and I received kind of maths tuition, which did improve my grades a lot. Um, Although I did end up dropping it because I just preferred my other three subjects more.
Yeah.
But with my other three essay subjects, it was really helpful when I was kind of struggling with essay techniques in English, reaching out to a tutor and kind of asking to go through it step by step, in a much more kind of um, in a much more like magnified way, in a way that I didn't have access to at school. So that was really helpful. Yeah. Yeah, so I think I really enjoyed those subjects at GCSE. I was always really good at the subjects as well, like better than sciences, for example. And so that combination of being really good at the humanities kind of area, as well as really enjoying that area, I really enjoyed history GCSE, and English literature as well. So I took that up at A level as well. And I was really intrigued in politics, although I didn't do that at GCSE and didn't have much access to that. I just thought it would be a really interesting subject, and I've always been quite interested in kind of like global politics. So taking that up was, yeah, really enjoyable for me as well. Yeah, I kind of felt the same, that there was a huge jump because were kind of, you're more expected to be able to do more at a higher standard in much less time. And so I think the main thing that I had a problem with at starting my A levels was kind of structuring my time and being able to kind of complete the essays to the best of my ability within that time pressure. And so that's kind of something that I worked on with tutors as well, kind of knowing how to be concise with my essay writing so that I was able to say everything that I wanted to say within the amount of time that I had.
Okay.
So I think it just came down to the fact that I really enjoy history. So I've really enjoyed all of the modules that I've done at history A level. And I've always been quite drawn to kind of understanding more. It wasn't just that I guess it was the fact that I wasn't satisfied with what I had at A level, and I wanted to go further into topics myself. And so kind of doing that wider reading and realizing how much I was interested in certain topics that maybe wasn't able to do at A level made me realize that I would be able to do those kinds of things at university, and pursue that even further. And Oxford specifically, it just has such a huge curriculum and such a vast range of topics. So I found so many different kinds of optional papers in the Oxford history curriculum that I
Mhm.
thought that's exactly something that I would want to do at university. And the
Mhm.
kind of standard of teaching at Oxford and the environment, it just felt like somewhere that I would really thrive and somewhere that I would really enjoy, which led me to kind of apply there. So I had to do the history admissions test for Oxford University, which I was really quite worried about because makes up a huge part of the admissions process. And I found that at school, we didn't really start focusing on that until the start of year 13, which was just about like a month before the assessment. So it was really helpful because my history tutor kind of focused on that from beforehand. Towards the end of year 12, we started thinking about the history admissions test, and he prepped me really, really well for the admissions test in a way that I didn't get that same help from school. So I was really thankful when I started year 13 and I started doing the prep at school that I already had that background knowledge and I had already practiced with my tutor. And that enabled me to have the exact skill set that I needed when doing the admissions test. And so I felt much calmer and much more prepared for it. And in terms of interviews, I felt the same way. So I started prep with my tutor before I started prep with my teachers at school. And again, that was really helpful because I was aware of the structure of the interview and the kinds of things that I might be asked. And I was able to get much more personal feedback and tips and tricks for the interviews, which again really helped me to be more aware of exactly what I needed to do when it came to the interview. So I had some mock interviews with other tutors at the center as well, which was really helpful. And I think that's what really got me through past the interview stage as well. I think the main challenge was, I guess, the fact that it was all very new. So I had never written like essays like you need for the admissions test before in my A level. So it was a new set of skills. Sorry, a new set of skills and a new set of kinds of objectives that I had to fulfill. So I think that was the main challenge that I faced, kind of being faced with these new kind of things that the admissions process wanted from me, because it's very different to actually doing an A-level exam, because the admissions process is much more about showing the potential you have and your own thinking, whereas at A-level it's much more about what you know. So that was kind of the main challenge and difference that I found. So the tutors, I think, played a huge role in my preparing for the admissions process. I think, as I mentioned, at school we started kind of prepping quite late, in my opinion. So the tutors were really helpful in the fact that I didn't have to worry too much about knowing when to start, because my tutor kind of told me that we'll start at this place, and he was really helpful in kind of mapping out the journey for me and telling me, so we're going to focus on this part of the admissions process now, and then we're going to move on to this part. So like starting with the admissions test and focusing on the skills, and then doing practice essays, and then moving on to interviews and doing kind of just discussion based activities, and then moving on to full mock interviews. So that was all really helpful for me. So yeah, I think that played a huge part in my admissions process, and the same with kind of interviews. And I think the online learning experience was actually really helpful because it mimicked especially for interviews, it mimicked the experience of an actual interview, because for my Oxford interviews, they were all online. So I was kind of worried about that, because I felt that I perform better in real life and when I'm talking to someone in person. So the online kind of interview practice was really helpful, because I was able to kind of mimic the environment that I would be in the real interview. And it was also helpful because my tutor was able to give me some tips in kind of navigating the online experience, and like how to kind of express myself online in a way that I might want to do in real life. So yeah, that was really helpful, and I found it quite easy online as well. Yeah, so I think the main thing that I really liked about the sessions with my tutor, not just for the admissions process, but in general with tutoring, is that it's very self-directed. So for every session, my tutor always put my priorities and what I wanted to focus on at the forefront of our session. So I would always be asked with all of my tutors what I wanted to focus on and what I wanted to tackle. So that made it really helpful for me because I was able to pick out exactly what I wanted to focus on or what I wanted to improve on. I was able to email that concern to my tutor, and then they would formulate the session based on what I wanted to do. And so that was really helpful. And at the end of each session, my tutor would ask me, was that helpful? Is there anything else I can do? And what would you like to focus on next session? So it was much more kind of independent and self-directed sessions rather than the tutor rather than the tutor telling me that we're going to do this, which might not have been as helpful. So that was really helpful for me. Oh, I think my biggest advice would be don't doubt yourself, because I think I had a lot of doubts throughout the admissions process, even though Oxford was somewhere that I wanted to go. Throughout it, I had this kind of mindset that, oh, like I'll just try and see how it goes, but it's not too big of a deal. Like I'm not going to worry about it too much, or maybe I'm not going to try my hardest until kind of towards the end of year 12 when I took it more seriously. And I thought, actually, my grades tell me that Oxford is somewhere that I can be. It is somewhere that I deserve to be. So I guess like don't doubt yourself and put all of your hard work into the admissions process and into your grades, because even if you don't realize it, you might actually end up getting in, and then you might actually be there in September and realize that you do deserve a place there, and you are a really deserving student in that sense. So I think that would be my biggest form of advice. If Oxford is your dream, like never doubt yourself, and don't feel that you don't deserve to be there, because I think everyone does. I think I'm most looking forward to finally kind of delving into the areas of history that I'm most interested in. So I'm really interested in intellectual history, especially kind of more international history. And so I'm really looking forward to delving into periods that I'm more interested in. So the early Islamic era, or the relations between different intellectual movements. And so all of these kind of more, arguably kind of more like niche areas of history, I'm really excited into going into that and being surrounded with people that are as interested in history as me, and kind of the top professors and tutors who are so knowledgeable about their subjects, and being able to learn from them. So I'm really excited about that.